How do you find your style as a photographer? Let's talk about it. When starting photography, or even as an experienced photographer, it's very easy to fall into the mindset of copying other photographers and their styles. Just a couple years ago, the cool thing to do was to copy the Brandon Wolfels and the bright, colorful jacket by waterfall photographers. The most important thing to remember is that your style will never stay the same forever. Think about who you were 5 years ago or even 10 years ago. Are you still the same person now? Your creative eye changes with you over time. For example, 5 years ago, I almost exclusively shot portraits. Now I hardly even shoot portraits. There's many factors involved, but what became interesting to me was the world around me. Who's to say 5 years from now I'll still enjoy shooting what I shoot now? I think naturally over time, even when copying other photographers, you will begin to notice trends in your photos that separate you from them. So the secret of finding your aesthetic or style of photography is already there. There's nothing wrong with being inspired by other photographers, and there's nothing wrong with using their presets as well. Because regardless of editing, the way everyone picks up their camera and composes their photos is different. When I began selling presets, or one of the main reasons I've heard other photographers say they will never sell presets, is that they don't want everyone's photos looking like theirs. So even after selling my presets and seeing other people edit their photos like mine, their photos still didn't feel like mine. An easy way to look at this is there's 1,000 film photographers out there shooting on Portra 400, but I don't mistake the Willem Verbeeks for the Bray Hunzikers. I can't tell you what your style is, and without getting too deep into it, I don't think you can really decide what your style is either, since it comes naturally. So go scroll through your Instagram, and maybe even your Lightroom catalog, and start to notice the trends in your photos. And as you scroll and continue looking, you will probably begin to notice more and more similarities of your photos over time. Such as, do you like having objects in the foreground? Do you prefer shooting straight on or from an angle? Or do you like capturing a sense of scale, or do you like shooting close-up details? Over time, your style of shooting and editing will begin to align. So the more you shoot, the more you realize that actually going out and taking photos is only half the process of finding your style. So going back to presets like I mentioned earlier, the most essential way to make your photos unique, or really you, is the way you edit. As long as I've been a photographer, one of my main struggles has been finding a consistent editing style. So every once in a while, I like to go back and look through old photos and maybe even re-edit old photos because my style changes so often. But one thing has always been consistent with my editing, and it's been that I've gravitated toward a moody editing style. I don't know about you, but for me, it's been very easy to envision creating that perfect Lightroom preset that you can apply to any photo and it just looks perfect. But I had to understand it's not that simple. If you're watching this video, you've probably watched a ton of editing tutorials in Lightroom. But eventually you reach that point where you stop watching editing tutorials because you've gained enough experience by this point where you can edit photos on your own and you can easily find that look or that style that you want. Early on, I would find other photographers whose style, I really liked, and I would buy their presets. Not even to edit all of my photos like theirs, but to study their presets and understand how they do their S-curves and their RGBs in Lightroom. So now, years later, I've reached a point in my editing style where I'm pretty happy with it, but I've accepted that it will never be perfect, and even over time, it will keep changing. So when I'm out shooting, I can already picture the edit in my mind before the raw file even leaves my camera. So do you like shooting moody, or do you like shooting bright and colorful? Or maybe you're kind of like me where you found like a nice balance of the in-between. Or is my definition of moody even the same as your definition of moody? It all comes down to you. So once you've nailed down your style of shooting and editing, that's how you know you've found your style as a photographer. So instead of spending your time comparing yourself to others, figure out what makes your photos unique or how you want to make your photos unique, and you figured it out. And in the end, all you have to do is keep shooting and keep growing as a photographer. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. The main thing to take away is that I don't think you should worry so much about finding your style, and I think you should just naturally let it happen over time, because it will over time if you keep taking photos. But in the meantime, if you're looking for inspiration for going out and taking photos, I have a lot of videos on my channel you can go watch. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please like the video and subscribe to help support me so I can continue growing and reaching a larger audience, and go out and shoot.